Namaste. A very frenetic morning, a very frenetic day to everyone present here on the Zoom meeting and all those who have joined us on Facebook Live. On the occasion of completing 1 year of National Education Policy 2020, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda is extremely delighted to have this perfectly edifying webinar entitled as Effect of National Education Policy on Youth Empowerment and Sports Development, organized by a gamut of stakeholders, the Faculty of Management Studies, Institute of Leadership and Governance, Department of Physical Education, National Service Scheme, National Cadet Corps, and Internal Quality Assurance Cell. Before we begin with the event, here are some webinar etiquettes that we all can maintain throughout the length of the event. Participants can maintain their decorum and pay respect to the speakers by keeping their microphones on off mode unless asked to unmute. Cameras on off mode, especially if in uncomfortable posture. Please do not use the screen sharing option at any point during the event. And if you feel like asking any question, please use the chat box option. And if you are joined on Facebook, then you can drop it in comment section. Your questions will be considered when the Q&A session will be taken over. Thank you so much. And now I would request our technical partner, Mr. Hem Vaidya, to please play the university song. And I request all the participants to please rise for the university song.
We need to wait for one more minute. I have to be okay.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Pragati, you are audible. हमें ऐसी शिक्षा चाहिए जिससे चरित्र का निर्माण हो, मन की शक्ति बढ़े, बुद्धि का विकास हो और मनुष्य अपने पैर पर खड़ा हो सके। स्वामी विवेकानंद जी के यह शब्द हमारे वर्तमान राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति के लक्ष्य को बड़ी सरलता से प्रस्तुत करते हैं। नमस्कार, जय हिंद। मैं देहूती व्यास द महाराजा सयाजीराव यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ बड़ौदा की छात्रा के तौर पर प्रेक्षागृह में उपस्थित देश प्रेम से संचित गणमान्य अतिथिगण एवं श्रेष्ठ श्रोता, वक्ता एवं दृष्टा सम्माननीय महानुभावों का इस प्रांगण में हृदय से स्वागत करती हूँ। सर्वप्रथम मैं इस कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत महाराजा श्री सयाजीराव तथा उन्हीं की आंखों से तराशे हुए महान योगी, लेखक, कवि एवं दार्शनिक श्री औरबिंदो जी को नमन करके करना चाहूंगी। And now I would like to call upon the Director of Higher Payment Program OSD under the Faculty of Management Studies of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Professor M.N. Parmar ji, to deliver the welcome address and throw some light upon the theme of our webinar. Over to you, sir.
Namaskar. Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Parimal Vyas, Honorable Vice-Chancellor of Central Gujarat University, Professor Dubey sir, Dr. Jigar Inamdar, Regional Director, ICCR, Senate Syndicate Member of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Shri Anil Pratham, IPS, Director General of Police, Gujarat State, National Commissioner, Hindustan Scout and Guide Association, Dr. Kamal Kumar, Assistant Program Advisor and Head, Directorate of NSS, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sport, New Delhi Government of India, Colonel Mayank Mathur, former CEO of Vadodara Municipal Corporation, Sport Promotion Foundation, and our very illustrious alumni, Professor B.S. Chakravarti, Director, Internal Quality Assurance, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Dr. Reena Bhatia, Director, ILG, and President, Maharaja Sayajirao University Student Union. It's a matter of great pleasure for the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda that today we are celebrating the 1 year of National Education Policy 2020. The topic for today's webinar is the effect of National Education Policy on youth empowerment and sport development. The Faculty of Management Study, Institute of Leadership and Governance, Department of Physical Education, National Service Scheme, National Cadet Corps, and Internal Quality Assurance Cell have jointly organized this webinar to benefit the university, youth, and other participants. As we know that new education, the National Education Policy 2020 is a historic effort and first omnibus policy after 34 years. This is India's third policy, which reflects the 1986 National Education Policy. According to the government, the National Education Policy 2020 is formulated after having considered over 2 lakh suggestions from different level of local self bodies, 2.5 lakhs gram panchayats, 66,000 blocks, 6,000 ULBs, and 676 districts, with the aim of holistic productivity and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society with an increased gross enrollment ratio of 50% by 2035. The policy envisages that in all stages, experiential learning will be adopted, including hands-on learning, arts integrated, and sports integrated, education, storytelling based pedagogy, among others, as standard pedagogy within each subject, and with exploration of relations among different subjects to close the gap in achievement of learning outcome. Classroom transactions will shift towards competency based learning and education. Sport education is another cross curricular pedagogical approach that utilize physical activity, including indigenous sports in pedagogical practices to help in developing skills such as collaboration, self-initiative, self-direction, self-discipline, teamwork, responsibility, citizenship, etc. Youth organizations of the country, namely the National Service Scheme, National Cadet Corps, Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathana, and many more have been contributing in the development of youth long before implementation of National Education Policy 2020. The last NEP was that of 1986 and was modified in 1992. The cabinet has also approved the remaining renaming of MHRD to the Ministry of Education. The national education policy is a welcome change at time when the health, happiness and immunity of children are becoming increasingly important due to the pandemic. The national education policy includes several key points that are instrumental for the holistic development of a child. By eliminating the rigid separation between curricula and extracurricular activities, the national education policy acknowledges sports to be equally important as any other subjects like English or science, thereby increasing the fun and engagement that children desperately seek in a school. Through play, children can develop physically, mentally, and socially. And we have also found play to contribute positively to academic outcomes, classroom behavior, and attendance level. Moreover, assessment-specific reforms, such as the development of National Assessment Center and tracking a child progress based on learning outcomes, are great initiative as they focus on learning progress, thereby focusing on all-round development of a child. Youth empowerment is one of the key areas of the national education policy. The faculty of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda has already initiated action in implementing national education policy. We have formed NSS 2-credit course, and it is made compulsory for almost all the students of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. We have also introduced NCC with the credit, and it will be made, the course will be made available to all those students who are taking admission in first year and second year of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Parimal Vyas, is taking a lot of initiative, is taking a lot of interest in implementing the national education policy, because he wants that whatever new initiative has been introduced in the national education policy has to reach to the students and staff of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, and he has already initiated action in almost all the direction. With this note, I welcome all the esteemed guests and speakers of the today's webinar on effects of national education policy on youth empowerment and sports development. With this note, I welcome you all to this webinar. Before I close, let me introduce to our today's key speaker, Professor Ramasankar Dubey. We welcome you, Dubey sir. Professor Dubey
Sir, you are not audible.
Hello.
Your audio is not functioning, sir.
I think we can move
Madam,
ahead.
we can begin. We can begin the address.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I think we can move forward and invite Professor R.S. Dubey, sir.
Yes, sir. I request Professor R.S. Dubey ji to move the program ahead with his speech.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Professor Parimal ji, Honorable Vice-Chancellor of Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Professor Parimal Vyas ji, all learned speakers, Dr. Jigar Inamdar ji, IPS Anil Pratham ji, Dr. Kamal Kumar Karji, Colonel Mayank Mathur ji, Professor B.S. Chakrabarti, Dr. Reena Bhatia, all dignitaries who have joined us today, all faculty members of Maharaja Sayajirao Gaikwad University, Baroda, all the students and all the viewers. First of all, I express my gratitude to the organizers for providing me the opportunity to express my views and to share my thoughts with you. That our country is celebrating that 1 year of rolling out of National Education Policy 2020, which was rolled out just 1 year ago on 29th of July 2020 by the Government of India. This policy document rolled out by Government of India, in a true sense, it is a historic and revolutionary document, in the sense that the first time in the independent India, this document advocates for holistic education, for empowerment of youth, having sports as an integrated part of the curriculum. So these are some of the major things which have not been thought of earlier. When we talk about the youth empowerment, we talk about the overall development of the youth, overall development of personality of the youth. If we think of the country like India, India is a country with thousands and lakhs of years of rich culture and tradition. And this rich culture and tradition was built on a strong fabric of our educational system. If we talk about from the Vedic civilization, from there itself and onwards, the purpose of education was all-round development of the youth, all-round development of the personality. It was not mere transfer of knowledge from the side of the teacher for the students. Rather, the teacher who was guru in ancient India, the responsibility of the guru was to mold and carve the students in such a way that complete personality is developed, integrated personality is developed. And when we talk about the integrated personality of an individual, in our Indian system of education, Indian vision of education, a personality or a person is made up of that body, mind, intellect, and soul. Sharir, Man, Buddhi, or Atma. This is the principle that a body is made up of four because mind is integrated. Manushya ek Atma hai. So this was the philosophy of Indian education during Vedic period and after that. Even our Gurukul system was also based on this philosophy. That philosophy of education is holistic development of the personality. And whenever we talk about the holistic development of body, mind, intellect, and soul, then first comes the body, development of the body, and that is the physical education. There the role of physical education comes. That we know that for healthy mind, we need a healthy body. A healthy mind resides in a healthy body. So for the development of a personality, first essential that physical development should be there. And there is the role of sports. In our ancient India, also in the Gurukul system, that there was no sports which we have today, but that time also in our Gurukuls, there were archery, various types of yogic exercises, various types of like warfare, Dhanurvidya, and other also different other types of astra, sastra were used. It is called that Agratam Sakalam Sastre Krishtatam Sasaram Dhanu. Dhanu was it is just symbol of sports, whereas Shastra is symbol of intellectual development, academic development. So the physical development as well as academic development, both were going together. And that was the purpose of our education during the ancient time. And on this philosophy, all gurus used to train our students in such a way that holistic development, all-round development of the youth takes place, so that youth is capable of doing anything he likes. He is capable of choosing any subject he likes later on, but with the synergy of physical development and mental development, the education was there. And similar was the philosophy of our educational philosopher, as pointed out just now, that Swami Vivekananda also, he advocated that the purpose of education is overall development of the personality, development of the all powers which one has, different powers, means physical powers, mental powers, intellect powers, spiritual powers, means synthesis of all these powers together, integration of all these powers together. And more than that, in the purpose of education, it has been advocated that at a micro level, the purpose of education is character building. At a macro level, it is nation building. Mahamana Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya also, who was a great proponent of Indian education, he also believed the purpose of education is micro level is character building. So by character building, with the mental development, with the values which India has for its thousands and lakhs of years, these values need to be inculcated in the student along with intellectual development. So the National Education Policy 2020, which has been rolled out by the Government of India, first time it talks about the overall development of the personality. Not only the teaching, not only the providing of information from the books or from otherwhere by the teacher to the students. Rather than it advocates all-round development, integration of sports from the very beginning. And that also, that sports will be integrated in curriculum in such a way that it will help in experiential learning, learning by doing, learning as a fun, learning by the experience. So there will be no difference between academic, curricular, and extracurricular activity, because credit courses will be floated related to vocational courses, related to physical development courses like sports and others. And right from class 1 in this national education policy, it has been focused that right from the class 1, a student will be trained in such a way that all aspects of development, physical development, mental development, and intellectual developments are put together in the curriculum in such a way that in fun itself, like in a joyful manner itself, the student learns many of the things related to life skills, related to ethics and human values, related to the physical development, related to personality development right from the class 1 itself. And for that purpose, the NCRT has already taken the job of developing a national level curriculum, national curriculum framework for child education. So right from the class 1. And throughout the school level, sports education has been integrated in the curriculum along with the credits which we are giving for academics, core academics. So likewise, the core academics, sports and other activity, vocational education, skill education, credit for these are also been given side by side. So importance of physical development of the personality is at par as with intellectual developments, means core academics. What has been till now that when we are studying at our university level and college level, we are specialized in a particular discipline up to such an extent that we forget about the other disciplines. For example, a student of science who is doing undergraduate and postgraduate degree is taking, he is hardly aware of a good quality literature in Gujarati or Hindi or other or in English. So it is essential that it should be, education should be amalgamation of all disciplines, integration of all disciplines, and at that time specializing in one. Because this will help, this will help to take any career in cross-boundary disciplines. If students want to excel in sports, so right from the beginning at the school level, a mentor, a teacher can identify that this particular student has skill in sports. He can develop in particular line of sports, particular area of sports. Now, what we'll do in the future years also, more and more he can take credits in sports, and at undergraduate and postgraduate level, he can excel himself in physical education. So depending on that, here the responsibility of a guru or the teacher becomes to look for the inherent quality or inherent skills the student has. And the whole purpose of this policy document, NEP 2020, is youth empowerment. It is for the youth only. Such type of youth should be created who should be Viswamano. They should be global citizens. Global citizens means to take up our national and global challenges. Then only they can become a global citizens with various types of ethics and human values. If they are taught, then only they will know, a student will know how to behave in how to behave with others in a society. He will know how to behave with the environmental issues. He is concerned with the environment, he will come to know. So various types of situation our country and even world is facing, the answer we are not getting. For example, like environmental pollution, it has become such an extent that one should be very much aware that how to behave in an environment like that, how to keep our environment clean, how to behave with others, what sort of things we should not use which will deteriorate the environment. So such type of thing, such type of values are to be taught. And India with the rich heritage and cultural values, these values need to be taught to the student right from the very beginning. Then only we can have that idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. A student, if he doesn't know Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava, Charji Devo Bhava, Tithi Devo Bhava, then how he will imitate in himself. So our great educational philosophers have always emphasized that if we are in India, we are born and brought up in India, we must inculcate in ourselves Indian values and traditions. Because India has been Vishwaguru due to the Indian philosophy, Indian way of education, Indian culture and tradition. And that was the reason that our university, that our university seats of learning like Taxila, Nalanda and Vikramshila, those universities used to attract thousands and thousands and many thousands of students from across the world. And the students used to come here to learn Indian philosophy, Indian way of education, science and all. So India has many scientists in our ancient India who contributed a lot for the development of science, development of mathematics, development of philosophy, chemistry, physics, etc. Many Maharshis and Rishis were there. And these Maharshis and Rishis and Acharya, they built our tradition of education. So this national education policy that emphasizes for the first time in the independent India that these values should be inculcated in the students. and that will lead to the empowerment of youth. If a youth is physically developed, if a youth is morally developed, if a youth is intellectually developed and with spiritualism, because our Indian system of education has always relied on the synthesis of materialism with spiritualism. That our society has not been very materialistic society because we care for the nature. Man has always, we have always cared for the nature. And this national education policy also is very strongly, it advocates that man is a part of nature. So man should, a student should know what is the nature, how he is integrated with the nature, how he is integrated with the society. If he will understand how he is integrated with the nature, then automatically he will become very much sensible towards the nature, how to behave with the nature. So if these all values are inculcated along with our core subjects, academic values, then definitely the student which will be produced, that student will become a global citizen, but rooted in Indian culture. And this is the core philosophy of the national education policy, that we want Vishwamanav, we want global citizen, but rooted in Indian culture, so that those students, they can, when they will excel in the society, they can excel in any field, and any field they take up, they should be capable of solving the problems facing India, like energy crisis, various types of problems. So energy crisis also, if a student will have to solve, then he will solve that problem in a holistic way. So this national education policy, it has nicely integrated sports as a part of education, right from the school up to the graduation and post-graduation level. That is the peculiar point, and which will lead to all-round development of the personality. So with these few words, I close it here due to the limitation of the time. And once again, I express my gratitude to the organizers for providing me the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to request our guest of honor, Dr. Jigar Inamdar ji, to impart his views on the topic of actions and possibilities for youth empowerment at the university. Sir holds the office of Regional Director for Indian Council of Cultural Relations, ICCR, under the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. He is the Senate and Syndicate member of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda and is also the founder director and advisor of ILG under MSUB. He has always been active for the cause of youth empowerment. Previously, Sir has been the General Secretary for Gujarat region under the youth wing of BJP. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Pragati. Our leader, our inspiration, our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Parimal Vyas, sir, the person who always inspires us, Professor R.S. Dubey, sir, आज हमारे बीच उपस्थित आदरणीय अनिल प्रथम जी, आदरणीय कमल कुमार करजी, हमारे फ्रेंड फिलोसोफर गाइड जिनको कह सकते हैं, ऐसे आदरणीय कर्नल मयंक माथुर जी, three people behind this program, Professor Magan Bhai Parmar, Professor Vishwajit Chakravarti, and our team leader, our director of the institute, Dr. Reena Bhatia ma'am, all the team members who are behind this nice initiative. Right now, we are celebrating 1 year of national education policy, and I have been assigned the duty to talk about youth empowerment, possibilities and actions, challenges in universities, in campus. So to justify the given subject, I would like to mention about two things related to this topic. When I was a student in a school, I was elected General Secretary of the school. And on Teachers Day, हम सबको शिक्षक बनने का मौका दिया जाता था. जो स्कूल का GS होता था, वो स्कूल का प्रिंसिपल होता था. जो क्लास के मॉनिटर होते थे, वो अलग अलग विषय के टीचर बनते थे और बच्चे ही टीचर बन के बच्चों को पढ़ाया करते थे. शायद मेरे स्कूल समय का सबसे प्यारा कोई दिन होता था तो वो शिक्षक दिन होता था, क्योंकि शिक्षक दिन को हम शिक्षक बनते थे। यूथ एम्पावरमेंट कहीं ना कहीं अगर कहीं से शुरू होता है तो वो इसी प्रकार के प्रयोगों से शुरू होता है। यूनिवर्सिटीज में शिक्षक दिन का ऐसा सेलिब्रेशन नहीं होता जैसा स्कूल में होता है। शिक्षक दिन एक दिन तक सीमित हो, उससे अच्छा ये हो सकता है कि पढ़ने वाला विद्यार्थी उसको आने वाले दिनों में, वो बाय प्रोफेशन टीचर बने कि न बने, पर किसी भी स्टूडेंट के लिए पहला हीरो यह उनका टीचर होता है। उनके टीचर को देख के वो प्रेरणा प्राप्त करते हैं और उनके टीचर्स को देखते हुए उनके टीचर जैसा बनना ये उनका एक ख्वाब होता है, उनका एक सपना होता है। मैं व्यक्तिगत रूप से ऐसा मानता हूं कि यूथ एम्पावरमेंट ये लेक्चर्स से नहीं होगा, यूथ एम्पावरमेंट बातों से नहीं होगा, फिल्मों से, मूवीज से, शॉर्ट फिल्म से, एग्जाम्पल्स देने से नहीं होगा, उनको एग्जाम्पल बनाने से होगा। और एक छोटा सा प्रयोग आदरणीय परिमल व्यास जी के नेतृत्व और मार्गदर्शन में महाराजा सयाजीराव विश्वविद्यालय में किया गया, और वो था स्टूडेंट इंटर्नशिप प्रोग्राम। अकाउंट्स और एग्जाम ये दोनों सेक्शन को छोड़ के यूनिवर्सिटी के हर डिपार्टमेंट, हर सेंटर, हर इंस्टीट्यूट में इंटर्न्स ने काम किया। 3000 से ज्यादा इंटर्न पहले 2 सालों में रजिस्टर्ड हुए और उन्होंने अपने से हो पाए उतना अच्छा परिणाम देने का प्रयास किया। स्टूडेंट्स को स्पून फीडिंग कराने की बजाय उनको सीधा काम में जोतना, उनको सीधा काम में ज्वाइन कराना, ये सच्चा एम्पावरमेंट है। एज ए टीचर जब हम बच्चों के साथ, आई एम नॉट अ टीचर बट जो भी टीचर्स हैं वो हम बच्चों के साथ जब बात करते हैं तो हम हमेशा ये सोचते हैं कि हमारे पास जो नॉलेज है वो हम बच्चों के साथ शेयर करें और इससे हम बच्चों को एम्पावर करें। मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि बच्चों के पास जो नॉलेज है उस नॉलेज को जान के, समझ के, उनके नॉलेज पे उनको आगे बढ़ने के लिए इंस्पायर करना, ये सच्चा यूथ एम्पावरमेंट है। और अगर हम ये कर पाए तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि रिजल्ट अच्छे से अच्छा हमें जरूर मिल पाएगा। एक और चीज जो आज के दिन मुझे जोड़ने की जरूरत लगती है, बिकॉज हम आदरणीय दुबे जी का जो संबोधन था, जो मार्गदर्शन था, उसको बहुत ब्रीफ में सुन पाए और उन्होंने समय की मर्यादा बताई। तो समय की मर्यादा उनके जैसे व्यक्ति के लिए कभी नहीं होनी चाहिए और मेरे बाद जो स्पीकर हैं उनको समय की मर्यादा न आए, इसीलिए मेरी बात को ब्रीफ रखना ये मेरा प्रयास होगा। तो अंतिम में एक बात जो मुझे कहने की जरूरत लगती है वो कह के मेरी बात में पूर्ण करना चाहूंगा कि यूथ एम्पावरमेंट, ये एम्पावरमेंट यानी क्या? कोई बिल्डिंग बनाना, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर देना और उनको कुछ अच्छा करने के लिए इंस्पायर करना? एम्पावरमेंट यानी क्या? एम्पावरमेंट ये फिजिकल स्वरूप में होने से ज्यादा साइकोलॉजिकल स्वरूप में होता है, ऐसा मैं व्यक्तिगत रूप से मानता हूं। स्टूडेंट के समझने का, सोचने का और सोच और समझ के अपने कैरियर और अपने भविष्य के बारे में सोचने का जो फेज होता है वो यूनिवर्सिटी का फेज होता है। एज ए टीचर, एज ए प्रोफेसर, हम जो सोचते हैं, हमारी जो विचारधारा है, हमारी जो मान्यता है, उसके अलावा कुछ और सोचने वाला जो स्टूडेंट हमारे क्लास में बैठा हो, उसके विचारों को हम रिस्पेक्ट कर सकते हैं क्या? उसके विचारों को एक्सप्रेस करने की आजादी हम उसे दे सकते हैं क्या? आपकी उम्र, आपका अनुभव उस बच्चे के उम्र से ज्यादा होगा, मैं मानता हूं, पर ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि जो फ्रेशनेस उस बच्चे के पास है, जो इनोवेटिव आइडियाज उस बच्चे के पास है, वो इनोवेटिव आइडियाज, वो ताजगी, वो फ्रेशनेस शायद हमारे पास ना बची हो। एक मोनोटोनस एक्टिविटी रोज सुबह से शाम हर वर्ष यही पढ़ाना, यही एक्टिविटीज कराना, इस मोनोटोनस एक्टिविटी से बाहर निकल के हम जो मानते हैं, हम जो सोचते हैं, जो ज्ञान हमारे पास है, उसके अलावा भी, उससे अच्छा भी कुछ हो सकता है, उसका स्वीकार करके उस बच्चे को अपनी बात समाज के सामने, सोसाइटी के सामने रखने के लिए इंस्पायर करना, ये सच्चा यूथ एम्पावरमेंट है, ऐसा मैं स्पष्ट रूप से मानता हूं। और बहुत ही संक्षिप्त शब्दों में कम समय में 2 पॉइंट्स आप सबके सामने रखने का मैंने प्रयास किया है। न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी ये अगले वर्षों में भारत की नई नीति और नई स्थिति को प्रस्तावित करने का एक बहुत बड़ा आयाम, बहुत बड़ा मापदंड साबित होने वाली है, ऐसा स्पष्ट रूप से मानते हुए न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के जो जनक हैं ऐसे आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी, उनकी पूरी टीम को इस प्रयास के लिए वंदन करते हुए और 1 साल में इस एजुकेशन पॉलिसी को एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए निरंतर संघर्षरत ऐसे सभी बड़े बड़े विश्वविद्यालय के आदरणीय कुलपति, कुलाधिपति, उनका एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, उन सब के प्रयासों की सराहना करते हुए इस एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के आधार पे अपना भविष्य निर्धारित करने जा रहे सभी स्टूडेंट्स को भी उनकी उपस्थिति के लिए वंदन करते हुए मेरी बात को मैं पूर्ण करता हूं। हमें आदरणीय अनिल प्रथम जी को सुनना है, कमल कुमार करजी को सुनना है, आदरणीय मयंक माथुर जी को सुनना हमेशा एक बहुत बड़ा अवसर होता है और हमारे आदरणीय वाइस चांसलर परिमल व्यास जी का मार्गदर्शन भी हमें प्राप्त होने वाला है। उन सभी के और आपके बीच में ज्यादा समय न लेते हुए मेरी बात को पूर्ण करना चाहता हूं। मुझे यहाँ पर उपस्थित रहकर मेरे विचार आप सबके सामने प्रस्तुत करने का मौका देने के लिए मैं सभी आयोजकों का, आदरणीय मगन भाई, आदरणीय विश्वजीत भाई और हमारे मातृ स्वरूप आदरणीय रीना बेन, सबका मैं हृदय पूर्वक धन्यवाद प्रकट करता हूँ। आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir. Rabindranath aptly quotes that the highest education is that which does not merely give us information, but makes our life in harmony with all existence. In this very direction, the National Education Policy aims at the holistic development of youth. The end product of education should be a free, creative man who can battle against historical circumstances and adversities of nature. And now, I would like to invite Dr. Reena Bhatia-ji, the Director of Institute of Leadership and Governance and the Senate member of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, who is also the President of the MSU Union, to apprise our audience about ILG and introduce our guests. Over to you, ma'am.
Am I audible, Dehuti?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
So thank you so much. Both Dehuti and Pragati, we have given our students the opportunity to be taking forward this webinar, and they are doing the comparing. So everything is what they have been doing. I take this opportunity and I'm very happy about it. So I take this opportunity to share with the August gathering a brief of our presence in this pursuit of lifelong learning, empowering and nurturing the young minds towards constructive development. I'm sorry. So I take this opportunity to share with this August gathering a brief of our presence in the pursuit of lifelong learning, empowering and nurturing the young minds towards constructive development of self, society, and the nation. The Institute of Leadership and Governance is an integral part of the university. Its humble beginning in 2016 is credited to Dr. Jigar Inamdar ji, the founder director, and his associates who have put in their head, heart, and hands and are continuously contributing to the institute and striving to make it a center for excellence. We at the institute strive to kindle the young minds to be change makers for a new India by encouraging their participation in matters of governance and decision making, moving ahead in the journey of socio-political and economic advancement of the nation through our several initiatives, events, academic and non-academic programs To name some of them, we have our one-year flagship diploma program in political leadership and governance. There is a National Youth Conference, Yugantar, which is an annual event, wherein we also institute Yugantar awards for the people who have contributed towards the society, and they are like unsung heroes. Nobody knows them, but yet they are doing their good. There is 1 month summer socio-political internship program contribution with the tagline, 1 month for the nation, wherein students are given a platform to understand the transformation at the grassroots level. We also have Sayajirao Startup Summit, which is a platform to submit, to pitch innovative ideas in front of investors and the mentors. We keep having Young Thinkers meet, Young Thinkers Forum, which is a discussion forum held every fortnight to take the students to help them express their views, ideas, minds. And all these have now become a brand event, which people form from all over the country look forward to be a part of this. And it is not just as being the attendees, but also to volunteer for it. It is the National Assessment and Accreditation Council who has recognized the learning programs and student internship program, which Dr. Jigar Inamdar was talking about, which had been undertaken then by the Institute of Leadership and Governance under the criteria, innovations, and best practices of the university. So this SIP, as told earlier, is a platform provided to the regular students of our university to enrich their administrative experience by inviting them to work as student interns at different offices, cells, centers, institutes, establishments, be it permanent programs or initiatives of the university with a stipend. And apart from this, there are several moral and social values which needs to be inculcated, and they remain the hub of one's conscience. So which directs them to lead a purposeful life and to channel their resources within their reach towards self-development and community service. So for this, we have 2 specific centers of the Institute, Sindhu, which is Center for Indic Studies, and Sadbhavna, which is Center for Theological Studies, which offers short-term courses continuously with a focus on teaching and integrating cutting-edge value-based education, which range from 2 days to 18 days, and the most popular being learnings from Gita. All these events, lectures, programs, be it academic or non-academic, they are all focused with the learning outcomes of this program. They are directed towards being able to develop in them a sense of belongingness, at the same time develop key competencies for the 21st century and position them in the with the skills and habits of mind to be transdisciplinary thinkers, helping them construct meaning in the context of real world problems or the themes of real world problems. So all this we know requires curiosity, willingness to go on learning far beyond the precincts of formal education. And that is where we come in, providing students platform to come in and learn by experience. So learn by doing that way. So with this, I move over to short introduction of the Institute of Leadership and Governance. I move over to introducing our guests, and at the onset, I humbly acknowledge the grace that our speakers bestowed on us by accepting our invitation at such a short notice. Please allow me to introduce all the speakers at one go, so that we are able to keep the continuity of the insights and the foresights that are to be shared by each speaker to converge their ideas seamlessly into each other's ideas. So it is with great pleasure and privilege I introduce our keynote speakers and our very own Honorable Vice-Chancellor, the patron of the webinar. Our first keynote speaker, Shri Anil Pratham ji, is a celebrated IPS officer of 1989 batch, Gujarat cadre, who has set a record of sorts, holding all the ranks in Gujarat CID during his career spanning 31 years, and is currently the Director General of Police, Crime Investigation Department, Crime, Gujarat State. The eminent police officer has worked in various capacities in several cities and districts in different divisions such as traffic, CID, intelligence, Gram Rakshak Dal, CISF, economic offense wing, women's cell, CID crime and railways, all ultimately steering to law and order and investigation. IPS Prathamji has innately directed his energies towards building a culture of humanity, service to nation, and respect for all religion and God, which has led him to be contributing for social and public welfare. And thus he has actively involved himself with many such organizations, the prime one being Hindustan Scouts and Guides Association, approved by the Ministry of Sports. Under his leadership as National Commissioner, the association has enabled multitude of young people to enhance their mental, physical, and spiritual development. Just as a scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent, so do we see our esteemed speaker to be. And that is why he seeks the youth of our country to be imbibing in them these core values of character building through scouting. So welcome to IPS Prathamji. I will move to our second keynote speaker, Srikamal Kumar Karji, yet another distinguished persona holding similar values, which radiates through his profound affection towards the youth across nation, who all have benefited through his guidance and encouragement, and especially for development initiatives in the national interest. Shri Kamalkar ji is presently designated as the Assistant Program Advisor and Head of the Directorate of National Service Scheme, New Delhi, which is implemented by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. The officer, Shri Karji, has numerous achievements and has been very instrumental in shaping the state of National Service Scheme in Gujarat as well during his term as the Regional Director at the NSS Regional Directorate for Gujarat. With his extreme energy, he presented his works as a role model for other states to replicate. Respected Kamalkar sir is the founding member of an Elixir Foundation and initiative of the Presidential Awardees of Government of India, wherein youth empowerment through community service is one of the major drives to make today's youth more socially responsible, which is achieved through numerous initiatives such as Bal Kalakar, Roshan Up Lives, Light Up Life, Light Alive, Green Planters, Santa Cause, Sports Championship, and many, many more. So with this, I also welcome Shri Dr. Kamal Karji. A warm welcome to you as well. Our third keynote speaker, Major Mayank Mathurji, is an exuberant army personnel, exhaling confidence, self-assurance, poise, directness, discipline, intelligence, and intellect, leading to a life with motto of service before self. His academic endeavor made him a computer technologist from the Military College of EME, Sikandrabad, and had been in the armed forces with the Corps of Electronics and Mechanical Engineers. An alumni of IIM Ahmedabad, he has worked extensively with the Unique Identification Authority of India, that is Aadhaar, we well know it as, and Department of IT, Government of India. Major Mathur is a keen sportsman, has been a national level lawn tennis player, and an avid golfer too. He's also been the CEO of Baroda Municipal Corporation Sports Promotion Foundation, nurturing the sporting talent of Vadodara and Gujarat as a whole by means of two existing state-of-art sports complexes, one at Sama and the other at Manjulpur in the town of Vadodara. Presently, Major Mathur is a management consultant working in the field of quality certification and system standardization, who has to be he has to be a team player at all times and functions with courage, loyalty, and integrity, ensuring complete fitness to of the mind and the body. Welcome to you, Major Mathur. Once we have listened to all the key note speakers, we will be listening to the presidential address, which will be delivered by respected Professor Parimal H. Vyas. He's the 17th Vice-Chancellor of our university, who has consistently and greatly contributed to enhance the academic and administrative competence of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda continuously for the second term in office from 11th February 2019. Under the competent leadership of our Honorable Vice-Chancellor, University has achieved a good ranking at several platforms, including the A grade in 2016 by the National Assessment and Accreditation Council. There is passion for learning, integrity, and passion for social concerns. These are some of them of the major strengths of our patron of the webinar, which is we do see continuously reflected in his efforts to build a student-centric university coupled with promoting quality-centric techno-savvy teaching, quality research, and making higher education equitable, accessible, affordable, and above all, value-based, as well as relevant to the society. With this brief introduction of our esteemed speakers and Professor Parimal Vyas, I straight away invite our first speaker of the day, Shri Anil Pratham ji, to deliver his insights and foresights on the given theme of the webinar, Effect of NEP on Youth Empowerment and Sports Development. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Oh, okay. Respected Professor Parimal Vyas ji, Professor R.S. Dubey ji, Dr. Jigar Inamdar ji, Dr. Kamal Karji, Colonel Mayank Mathur ji, Professor M.L. Mathur, Professor Chakravarti ji, Dr. Reena Bhatia ji. We have been able to speak 2-3 times due to this seminar. And the young team of Pragati Pandey and Dehuti Vyas, who have been instrumental in initiating and starting this webinar. Also, all the participants who are available and have given us chance to have few words with you. I think first I would like to quote 1 or 2 sections of our Indian Constitution. I am very fond of the chapter of Directive Principles of State Policy. If we see the Article 39, and especially 39 parts A, E, and F, I think this is relevant to our new education policy, because these are the articles which say that youth should be empowered, youth should be protected from bad evils, bad things, and he should be suitably employed to a good vocation and not the bad vocation, not the bad things. Secondly, Article 40 says that we should empower our village panchayat. As we have seen now in our new education policy, that we want inclusive growth of India, inclusive growth of youth residing in the poor, Adivasi and remote area of India. I think they are very important, and I think new education policy has taken care of them. To start with this thing, education policy also says of what India was, and our youth should learn that India had a great culture. India had a variety of the people who have evolved as India. So we should know all those things. That is also our duty. That is the duty of the faculty, institutes, which we are envisaging in this education policy. It also lays down foundation of how to build the capacity of the faculty, how faculty may be retired or maybe in service should be suitably utilized. With these words, I would go to specifically about the what we have in education policy. I will not go into the details, but I have noted down few words which are mentioned in the new education policy and which, according to me, are very relevant to all the stakeholders, including youth. The few words are, they say that at least one skill or vocation student should learn when he is out from the school. Then there is a focus on online and digital learning. They say about the innovation, research, and practical knowledge. It emphasizes on critical thinking, interactive classes, and experiential learning. They also say that we should have a system of counseling our youth for their physical and emotional well-being. It also mentions that we should have a support center for the youth who are in remote area or rural area. Further words I mention are, they are the scientific temper, knowledge of the critical issues, ethical reasoning, etc. So I just noted down the few words which attracted to me when we say to our topic is that effect of national education policy on youth empowerment and sports development. But I also received the program schedule, so I was little confused because it was also mentioned that this is a roadmap for advancing sports as a tool for youth empowerment and need for sports development. So question here is, are we here to discuss only sports as a tool for the youth empowerment, or education policy as a general for the youth empowerment? Madam, if
So
you
it is
can.
one of the aspects of youth empowerment.
Okay. Okay. So we can cover all other points also.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. So I would say, when we say about the youth, we always think of school education. School education means child getting ready in uniform, going to school with a bag, having books and notebooks and pen, doing activities there, then come back. So this new education policy has tried that this academic or bookish part should be reduced and there should be holistic content of the subjects the child should be taught. So that is a welcome change. But I think the whole education policy has not clearly mentioned that sports should be a part of education, but it has mentioned about the vocation, about the skills, and about the other innovative ways. So I think we can cover in that way that sports is a very important thing for our physical development, for our mental development, for our spiritual development. Yoga, PT exercise, they all make us strong and our mind also becomes sharp. In that way, if we can create an atmosphere where with less, we can say less burden of education or other problems, he feels free and he gets genuine ideas. He becomes interactive. So I think the purpose of the education policy will be served. Well, what we in Gujarat have done, I would like to say a few things in area of youth development and sports. As you all are aware that Gujarat government had started Mahakumbh concept to promote the sports activities in all areas of the Gujarat, including rural areas. That was a very welcome step, and I think this concept is basically taken into this new education policy. When we say of the sports, we have at national level Sports Authority of India, and we also have the state chapter of this Sports Authority of Gujarat, and they have fund, they have the various activities, and they are trying to induct, train, and making ready the sports person for their participation at national, international level. Recently, our governor had started a program to push up our Olympian partners, Olympian players, so that they can perform better. So that was a moral boosting for them. So I think this thing will be good. So how the schools can link their student to such sports activities, we should explore. We also have army training institutes. We also have the police training institutes where we train the new recruits, and also as a social responsibility, we also, whenever time requires, we let general public also come and utilize the sports facilities at the institutes. So I think that can be done. Now, if we say that today's youth is overburdened with digital knowledge, with social knowledge, social platform, so how to de-stress that thing and how we should protect him to getting into in this web of mass information and malinformation and wrong information is also our duty. So the subject adding that online and digital learning, if we can utilize it in a positive way, so I think they will be able, the youth will be able to see that how they are protected and not exploited by some cyber crimes and cyber crooks, and the good things are being passed on digitally. So that is one thing. Then we have many youth organizations, as mentioned by Reena ji, and a few youth organization representatives are also part of this webinar, NSS and myself from Scouts. So the youth organization is a very big platform through which our each student should be connected. Because if each student is connected to any of the youth organization, maybe NCC, NSS, or Bharat Scouts, or Hindustan Scouts, Eco Club, or NYKS, so then it will give them a sort of some leadership quality. As Reena ji had mentioned, the Scouts had many, they are training so many other things. NSS is doing so many social service. So they will have the exposure and knowledge of the what NEP wants the students, the youth to understand. They should understand the real issues. They understand the critical issues. So I think these youth organizations can help them, and we should utilize them. If we say the about sports also should be made compulsory in schools right from the beginning in some way. and whenever the permission to the schools are granted, I think they see that schools have sufficient playground for the child. So that condition should be followed, and that if that ground is there, that ground should be fully utilized for the sports activity. I think this should be done. And once sports are imbibed by the students, so they also imbibe the good things, and as side by side they try to they become distracted from the evils, like we say that drugs, other things, drinking, other nuisances. So if they are into the sports, so these things will not come. So that is a good point, and that's why we should have it. I will say a few things about Hindustan Scouts and Guides regarding skills. That skills is also skills, craft is also one of the things which education policy is key. Hindustan Scouts and Guides has about 100 skills. We call them proficiency badges. They are the proficiency badges. The proficiency means they are not highly academic in nature, but small skill if they have, so they can have a respectable earning due to that skills, like electrician, gardener, TV repair, and all that thing. If they are not so, nurse, the tourist guide, something like that. So they can be utilized at some level, like we have ITI at other level, at the government level. So these how skills and craft can be utilized, this should be done. In addition to that, I would like to say that our Hindustan Scouts and Guide has kept officially our objectives mentioned in our this memorandum of associations are that we believe in the Constitution, and by the use of the Constitution, we can resolve all the issues and we can live in harmony. So we start with that motto. The motto is similar to what our education policy envisage. Now, after that, I would like to say that how this education policy, sports development, youth empowerment, we should go ahead. What should be our roadmap? So I had few points which can be considered as a roadmap to how we go ahead. I think we have lot of non-governmental organizations, NGOs who are working in the area of youth empowerment and sports. We have many activists in the area of youth empowerment and sports. So we should utilize them. Our school children's, college children's, or even faculty members, how they can think to take the benefit of the NGO should be explored. I will give you an example that recently you must have heard that in Dahod, Adivasi area, one lady was made half naked by her in-laws for having some relation, and she was awarded punishment on the spot. It was like a kha panchayat we have heard in other states. So they do not believe in the constitution, they do not believe into the rule of the law, and they insist that we will instantly provide justice as per them. So those are the areas which need real empowerment. And what I said, that Article 40 of the Constitution, which says that we should empower the village panchayat, village level. If we can use these non-governmental organizations, if we can use these activists or the volunteers, we can really empower the villagers. From police side, we have chalked out a program that in Adivasi area, we are planning to cover each of the village and make them aware about legal laws, about the women's right, about the youth rights available to them. For that, we have taken the assistance of our Mahila Suraksha Samiti, our support centers, and other similar NGOs, and we have Friends for Women and Child. So this I am saying that when we say the youth, youth means boy and girl, including in the rural area. Unless we improve them, we empower them, we will not be able to what Professor Dubey had said, that what we were initially at a time when Takshila and we were a good time. So we should ensure that. We have on record that in Olympic and in Asian Games, we have girls from the Adivasi area who had won the medals for India and made proud. So now we have a great comparative examples. In one Adivasi area, we have a medal winner. In this same Adivasi area, at other place, we have the people who are lynching, who are making punishment to a girl, to wife, like that thing. So how that gap can be filled? It is really challenge for all of us. I think we should do it. Then another, I would like to say that we have Juvenile Justice Act. Why I am mentioning, though it is not, it is about youth. Juvenile Justice Act is most powerful to prevent children and youth for their exploitation. If we use this act, we can protect them because it has stringent punishment. This JJ Act has punishment for those who employ these child youth in avocation, in wrong vocation, for their beneficial, for their greed, so that control can be done. I think with these words, what I have said, that this national education policy has very good intention. It had given many good words, good sentences, good ideas, which we should follow when this policy was formulated. So many opinions were there and they were compiled, and all that it was finalized, but still people had some reservations about the whether it will be effectively achieve those objects for which it was made. They have a doubt that whether in implementation can we really achieve or include the so-called poor people or Adivasi areas. So that is a real challenge for us, for the implementers who are supposed to implement this, that the benefit of this education policy should go to the rightful youth, rightful population. So that is our challenge for all of us. I think with these words, I will say that this education policy is very important, and sports and youth development will really make a better contribution, a great contribution to India to achieve its objectives. And finally, as per Constitution, it is our fundamental duty as per Article 51A to ensure that we follow the Constitution, to we ensure that whatever in education policy drafted, we implement it in toto. Thank you very much.
लो सर ये हो गए.
Go ahead, Pragati Dehuti.
So much, Anil sir, for your kind and wise words. Your presence means a lot. And now I would like to invite on the board Dr. Kumar Karji, the Assistant Program Advisor and Head Directorate of National Service Scheme, Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, to please deliver the keynote on the topic and the theme.
Namaskar. Am I audible now?
audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Namaskar. My greetings to all the esteemed audience who are present here, including the chairperson of this session, Parimal Bhai, the Honorable Vice-Chancellor of the MS University, Baroda, Professor Dubey sir, Vice-Chancellor, Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Central University of Gujarat, Anil Pratham sir, Jigar Bhai, Magan Bhai Parmar sir, Reena Bhatia ji, Bhattacharya ji, and Mayank Mathur sir, and all who have joined here. It's my privilege to interact with all of you. This is not my address, I can say, because I am not that much of status to say that I am having this much of contribution to the society and I have done this much of work. But mainly I will have my discussion. It's a little bit talk type of thing, what I want to share with the August audience here, both online, offline, and as well as on Facebook, who have joined with us for this topic. And let me tell you, simultaneously, side by side, our Honorable Education Minister and Honorable Youth Affairs and Sports Minister are talking right now on the similar topic on which we are talking here. And let me tell you, we are on the same wavelength. What Government of India has done 1 year before, July 29th, 2020, and again the anniversary of the launching of National New Education Policy 2020, the event Honorable Prime Minister had addressed. Simultaneously on the same topic, this is a really coincidence that how much we are thinking about the national development or the real national construction activities, what we are thinking and what we are talking. We're in the same wavelength. The government is thinking, the thinkers are thinking, the social change makers, they are also working on that line. It shows the similarly, the simultaneously now, if you can see, switch to webcast, it is going on where Honorable Education Minister and Honorable Youth Affairs Sports Minister both are talking on the same topic, that is how we can empower the youth and the scope in new education policy to empower the youth as well as the sports, how these two can be taken together in new education policy. And I'm not going to the detailed technicality of those things. I'm just being a practical person. I want to share something with all of you, which is really a matter of concern. Why the topic of youth empowerment is coming and why education policies should be important in that. Because if you see after 2-3 changes, the education policy, we have become a largest producer of degree holders, not the professionals. And who are professionals? They are completely leaving the country, they're going out. And in the country also, whoever are staying here, the benchmark, the grading point, these are the things which are becoming the parameter to get the job, to get the employability, to get the employment, and to be established in the society. And for that, someone has to toil for 3 years, 4 years on a particular chapter, and some streams are completely limited. There is no exploration of the various fields. There is no trial and error. Simply, we are going on a traditional method for which the youth, they are not becoming that much productive, those which would have been in a changed manner. So that's why there was a demand to change the system of education, and now the new education policy came into place. There are 2-3 things which are the major aspects in the new education policy where our youth empowerment point is concerned, and being directly associated with 40 lakh youth across the country in the higher educational institutions. Those are of my interest as well as the interest of the society. The volunteering system, where the youth empowerment is a major part, in a higher educational level, it has been given lesser importance, whereas it has been given more importance to the school level, the school education level, so that a component of service should be there with the student. While going in the school, they should have a service component in their mind, so that they can be changed with a nationalism and they can do something for the society. They should do something for the national development as well as nationalism. In higher education, there the component is that they can experiment in the things. They should not be restricted to a particular field, to a particular stream. For example, a student which is excellent, he is doing excellence in music, but he is studying in medicine. So whether earlier there was no chance to migrate and to take interdisciplinary subjects, which is there already in the foreign countries. So this is a major change which is there in the new education policy, that I can take as much of subject of my choice, then I can switch over in after 1 year, I can leave the education, do something, then come back and start again from the second year. So the changing and the credit banks, these three are the really nice things which will be very, very important in future. But the main point is that the onus lies with our policymakers as well as the implementers of this policy to make this thing understood to the youth. The youth should know all these things. If the policymakers, the thinkers, the teachers, the professors, the bureaucrats, they all will be made aware all the things, but it is not going to the youth, those who are going to be benefited, then this exercise will be a futile one. That's why we came into picture. All the civil society organizations, NSS, NCC, Scout and Guides, Hindustan Scout Guide, Bharat Scout Guides, Neo Yuva Kendra, all organizations who are working in the youth development, we are having a major role in that. We should make our youth aware about all these things. That these are the scope in the education policy where you can explore all these things so that you will be empowered.
मायंक जी तो बताना कि तुम्हारे फूफा जी हैं, वो शैली के हस्बैंड बोलेंगे अभी इसमें?
Can just to check the mic of some person is on.
I would request all the participants rather than the speakers to please mute yourselves.
Yeah,
Mr. Prem Prakash Mathur, please mute yourselves, please.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, this is a technical glitch in the online session. It happened, so it is not a point. I just sort of stopped because to get the clear that whatever I am thinking, so it should be clearly transferred to all of you. And I salute the organizers. You have established a fact today, and thanks to Parimal Bhai and Magan Bhai, because already I had a privilege of working with them for so many years. We are talking on this session about youth empowerment, and I am thankful that you have given to young friends the responsibility to conduct this webinar. So this is real. This should have been done in all platforms. We are telling that youth are the future of the country. They should do all the things, but we are not giving them any responsibility. Simply telling them that you are the future, you should do, but we are not giving them their hands are tied. So that should not be. In this context, I am going to just share 2-3 things with all of you, being a part of the federal government, so I can have the privilege to work with policymakers. Here I can tell you one thing. In light of the changes in the new education policy, the national youth policy is also going to be revised, and we are working on that. So a lot of deliberation, a lot of discussions have been going on to change the youth policy so that the expectations in the national education, new education policy 2020, that will be incorporated, or that should be incorporated in the national youth policy so that the youth will get to know all these things. And at present, the government is having a number of areas where the youth can get themselves involved to get them empowered and employed. Let me tell you, the main objective of 90% of the youth who are coming to the educational setup is to get employment. Whether you accept it or deny, I'm talking 90%. Because in yesterday you might have seen the teaching extension research or teaching research extension. So extension is to be called the third dimension of higher education. So it is, we have to accept these things that teaching was done and 20% on research and 10% on extension. There is not 100%. So we have to give them the detailed freedom. The youth should know what are the arena available for them, what are the provisions in the government system, in the private system, or out of the country, anything. What are the systems available, what are the scopes available, and whether there is any chance in the new education policy to give them that gap or that scope, you can say. That bridge should be given to them so that they can experiment or they can do some innovations. So 4 things which I want to share here, which are already been set and nothing new in that. Rather, I can say 5 things. Skill India, Make in India, Digital India, Startup India, and finally Fit India. These 5 flagship programs, I can say, Honorable Modi Sahab, when after Honorable Narendra Bhai Modi ji have become the Prime Minister, he had started, and now skill development is become a full-fledged ministry. This is a really great thing. After so many years, skill was not that much important. So we have been discussing, we are not discussing skill as a separate one. Now skill development is a separate ministry. And in that, there is ample scope for our youth to get themselves involved in the skill development. So mainly that part has been highlighted in the new education policy, so that every youth should be empowered and trained with a particular set of skill or a particular type of skill. There are a lot of skill available which we don't know. For example, I am telling you, our traditional skills, our traditional type of employment, weaving, cobblers, carpenters, welding, masons, blacksmith, goldsmith, these are the traditional art forms, traditional business, or you can say, those can be taken up by our youth under the skill development project to acquire, to gain the skill. And then they can do excel in that. There is ample scope in that, but these are neglected. We are, our Honorable Prime Minister is regularly promoting these things. Act locally and think globally. Local brand having a global presence. So these are the point where our youth can do, they can be involved, and there is a scope in the new education policy to get them trained in a particular skill. New domains are there which are not explored till now by the youth. I am telling you, by the youth. This has been covered by a separate professional members, so professional groups such as real estate, transportation, construction activities, gem industry, you can say, textiles, banking, apparels, apparel designing, tourism, you can say even if interpretership, being an interpreter for the people. So these are certain areas where you require a specific skill. And now it is very ironic to say that we are importing high-skilled workers from abroad to our country because we don't have manpower, though we have a manpower. Because being the second largest populous country in the world, we cannot say that we don't have manpower. We have manpower. But what the industry requires, what the market requires, the adequate training, we don't have that information, we don't have, which is to be incorporated in the new education policy, so that the youth becomes employable after a particular age and having a particular set of training. That is the Skill India. It will be in future. To make in India, of course, it requires a little bit investment of finance and investment of high capital. So it will be restricted to a specific group of youth having that background. Of course, there is a provision of financing by the government sector. But to run those things, to access those things, somebody to have certain knowledges, and new education policy will open the door of opportunity for the youth who want to experiment, who want to innovate, who do want to excel in these type of things, which are purely non-conventional type of education, non-conventional type of business, or non-conventional type of industry. There they can work. So this is one scope in new education policy. Coming to Digital India, COVID-19 had taught all of us, irrespective of the field, we are now part of Digital India. We are interacting on the virtual platforms, the meetings, the classroom, everything is going on virtually as well as in a hybrid medium. So I think I see the positive side of the global pandemic. It has taught us some things which we forgot. It has taught us walking. It has taught us interacting with interpersonal relationship skill. We got developed. So this digital India is another part which is empowering our youth. And I think being a generation of 50, I am not that much well versed, but the generation which are in the colleges, who are in the schools, they are now well versed with the digital platforms. So this will be again, AI, artificial intelligence is going to be another major developed field in the near future. AI, then coding from class 6 onwards, so coding will be compulsory. So coding, cloud computing. So the terms which are purely technical to all of us will be now easily accessible by the youth in the banner of Digital India, which is again another scope of empowering the youth in the new education policy. Then last thing which I want to say with this Startup India, again Startup India and Make in India, Digital India, and final one is Fit India, which Honorable Prime Minister has launched this program last year. Last year it was launched in July. So last year it was July 19 it was launched by Honorable Prime Minister. So fitness, this is also important. We are talking not only of the academic excellence, we are talking of the academic excellence, the physical excellence, the spiritual excellence, and the mental excellence. So all these are to be taken together. So Fit India, Aadha Ghanta fitness ka dose, Aadha Ghanta rose. This is the mantra of Honorable Prime Minister to all the youth. So all our volunteers, all our youth are being involved. So now from this 13th August onwards, we are going to organize a mass movement of Fitness India across the country, which will be started from 13th August. So these are the new things. These are the points where our youth will be involved so that they will be becoming the responsible citizen in the country. They will be becoming the holistic development, what it has been taught, what has been expected in the new education policy, properly that will be achieved. And I am thankful to NSS, the National Service Scheme Organization, the motto of which organization is really personality development of the students through community services. Since last 50 years, NSS is doing this thing. And now government is also mainstreaming this concept to all the youth. So the main thing is that all the youth should become volunteers. That is the main concept which is started from the school. So Seva component, there is a component of service which is incorporated in this new education policy. So that is the main component, that will be the main driving force in near future. Of course, sports is there. So I am not a technical person for the sports development, but yeah, youth development, which I have taken all these points, Digital India, Skill India, Make in India, Startup India, and Fit India. These are the parameters. These are the fields. These are the platforms where the youth can excel by taking a cue from the new education policy, and there is ample scope in the new education policy to get these youth empowered. But main thing will be that how much we can implement these things, how much we can transform the mindset of today's youth towards the national development. The onus is with the teachers, the teaching community, and the academicians. Your responsibility will be much more higher in the coming days. So salute to all of you, Professor Dubey, Professor Parimal, Professor Vyas. So all of you are having a major role in coming days. So you have a major role which you'll be doing in the society in the coming days. And of course, being part of the administration, we will be always with you. And I hope with the synchronized effort, the Indian youth will definitely be a global employer. As Honorable Prime Minister regularly says, you should not be an employment seeker, but you will be one employment giver. So I hope in coming 10 years or coming 15 years, India definitely will become a global power, a global employer, as well as the Vishwaguru, as our Honorable Prime Minister dreams and he envisages in this, always he tells all these things. So I hope we all will work together, and these are my points for the deliberation for the topic which has been given for today. So thank you all for patiently listening. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind insights on the topic. With this, I would invite Major Mayank Mathur, former CEO of VMS Sports Promotion Foundation, to please share his point of view on the topic and the theme of today's event. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Pragati Pandey. Thank you so much, Devahuti Vyas. Yes, Dr. Reena ma'am, it is real empowerment. And yes, we need to start with the youth of today. So yes, you have given ample opportunity to these young students of MS University. Thanks for empowering the youth. I start off my deliberations onto this topic with my respects to Professor Parimal Vyas sir. Without his vision, without his intervention, such things would be really difficult to comprehend. My respects to Professor Dubey sir for giving us his vision at the very starting of the webinar today. Dr. Jigar Inamdar is definitely, I'll repeat his words. He's a friend, philosopher, and guide. I know him for a while, and yes, vision at his end is unmatchable. Mr. Anil Pratham sir, you spoke amazing about the scouts. Yes, I definitely respect myself, one being from the uniform. I definitely give complete respect to your thought process, and it would be my endeavor to meet you sometimes and share your thought process and my thought process as well with you. Dr. Kar sir, amazing to hear you out. You're doing a yeoman job. And yes, many important things from the youth empowerment you mentioned in the course of things. Dr. Parmar sir, Dr. Chakravarti sir, Reena ma'am for sure. Thanks for organizing this. With your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I would just put across a few points onto this burning topic of youth empowerment, sports, with a linkage to the National Education Policy, which is 2020, released almost a year back, celebrating the first year anniversary of this policy, which was, yes, it was amalgamated with a host of inputs from various quarters of the society and became a very comprehensive one. Pragati just confirmed that my screen is visible and my sound is okay. Okay, great. I'll go ahead. I'll show you a quick pointers, my thought process, which I have translated in the form of my presentation. I'm going to be just starting off with youth empowerment, and coming from the field of sports, I'll try and lay more stress onto the sports part. That is where I think, from my perspective, and what I read through the fine print of the NEP, it is giving us, you would not believe, out of 66 pages of the policy, the word sports is referred almost 28 times. It's not a thing which you could just put it aside. Sports, yes, teaches us a host of things. There are n number of schemes which are being released by the government, thought over by the government. Now it is the time for the youth. It is the time for the students to take control of these schemes, to enjoy these schemes, and become a good youth. I'll come out with some statistics which I've gathered from the print, from the internet as well. Yes, we are into the first year of the NEP, the first year anniversary. It has been modified after 3 decades. It was pretty long, and this 130 billion population in the country wanted some change, some revisions in the education sector, and rightly so. The current government did that for us all, and it did come out with a fairly modified, adaptable, intelligent policy, I should say. Yes, as I mentioned, sports has been given a fair share in the policy. Sports, ladies and gentlemen, is not just sports. Sports is not just Olympics or Commonwealth or Asiads. Sports is an ecosystem which trains the mind to lose, which trains the mind to win, and even after you lose, come back again to the court the next day, come back again to the field the next day. And yes, we are fortunate enough in MS University to have a good sports ecosystem, and I'm sure MS University is developing much more than the current sports ecosystem. I'll come with some suggestions as I proceed further. We also have an independent sports university functioning in the state of Gujarat, Swarnim Gujarat Sports University. Yes, it has its major footprint in the town of Baroda. Out of the Manjalpur complex, we have majority of the players playing. They stay here, they play here. We have coaches. They run a host of courses. which are being run out of the Manjalpur Sports Complex. A major footprint of this university, I'm sure most of you may not be aware, is in the town of Baroda. That's where we are at the moment, most of us rather. We need to be taking this sports, probably higher education, yes, is one part, but the school education, the junior school, the middle school, the high school, there the sports has to take a major chunk. We may have teachers, yes, we need more teachers. We need to have a correct proportion as per the government requirement or government rules and regulations. That is, I do not know what is the proportion, but yes, so many students, so X students per teacher, per coach, probably, yes, there is a miss in that. A lot of new schools which have sprung up in the past decade or so are void of the ground as well. Yes, we are in short of playing grounds. Indeed, yes, we need to have a different model. We'll try and talk of that also as we move ahead into this. As Dr. Carr mentioned, as Anil Pratham sir mentioned, as we heard the Vice-Chancellor from Central University, Gujarat, also sir mentioning in there, a lot of youth empowerment programs are there. Skill, education, business, moral enhancement, financial youth empowerment, host of programs. We heard Dr. Carr talking about Fit India. He mentioned about Skill India, Atmanirbhar, and a host of programs are already in place. We need definitely, I'm not saying we do not need those programs. For sure, ladies and gentlemen, we need the sports to be taking a major chunk of the development. I'll show you some more statistics which are horrifying for us to know that. I'll just go ahead. Yes, we have the National Youth Policy, the Skill and Entrepreneurship Development Policy. We have Atmanirbhar Bharat. Yes, in spite of all that, a sizable population does not get employed. I have the UNICEF report being quoted in here, 2019, which talks about 47% of the Indian youth are not on track. Why so? Yes, there is a gap between the skill imparted and the skill required. There are skill development programs already enhanced and interpreted by the government. They are already in place. Yes, they are still doing a job. It will take time. By the time this deficit of skill shapes up, this deficit is pulled up, it will take time. 20% out of the 5 million students get employed in India, only 20%. Balance 80% are not, which is a huge number. Please look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is horrifying. We have suicides happening in 18 to 30 years of age, which is 33% of the total police records. I'm sure Anil sir would vouch for it. This is again, I've picked up from the Youth in India report of 2017. I do not think so in 3-4 years, this percentage may have gone plus minus 1 or 2% here and there. It is horrifying. Why is it happening? The youth is not ready to take any kind of a defeat. The youth is not getting trained. I have a different take. The sports does teach us, ladies and gentlemen. The sports teaches us, yes, if PV Sindhu loses the quarterfinals one day, she is not lost out. She gets a bronze the next day. We are all glued to the television. We have Lavalina Borgoy getting another medal today. She does not lose heart. Can we have the same replica into our youth everywhere? Can we make them as our role models, and can we replicate them and learn from them that one loss in semifinals is not everything? We learned a lot of things from the boxer from Indian Army. He had 13 stitches on his forehead. He did fight in the quarterfinals, though his wife and children said do not, but he did. And yes, many things to learn, many things to go ahead as we dwell forward. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. 5% of India's population is sports literate. Where are we? What are we trying to do? This is a PTI report of 2019. It's not old. It's about approximately 1.5-2 years old. Only 5%. Where are the rest? This translates to 57 lakh people out of 125 crore, or probably 130 now. That's where the deficit is. That's where the issue is. There's no place to play. there's no encouragement to play. Again, these are statistics. They are not my numbers, ladies and gentlemen. Look at US. Look at China, who are on the top of the table. Look at Japan on the top of the Olympics table. 20%. Huge. Look at China. 1 crore people play badminton. How many of us can even afford to play badminton? Let's talk of the town of Baroda. How many courts do we have? You can count them on your fingertips. And how many people are able to play? Probably none. Yes, we have 2 very beautiful courts in MS University Pavilion. Can we have more courts in every faculty? Can we have more volleyball courts in every faculty? Can we have basketball half court in every faculty? Can we have table tennis table in every faculty? Is it possible? I'm just thinking loud. Fitness in sports is not a top priority of the masses. Research indicates that 10% of India exercises less than 1 hour a week. What is 10% of 125 crore? 12 crore. They just exercise 1 hour a week. That's it. The balance don't even do that. Less than 2% of Indian population participate in sports. That's a Puma company's assessment of 2018. You can see on to the right, the picture I have quoted in there, only 2%. Probably we need to look into this, ladies and gentlemen. 70% of the respondents between 18 and 21, that's the university education, had played a sport at least once in the last year. That is again 2018 statistic. This is not the corona and the COVID times, ladies and gentlemen. We need to gear up. We need to give opportunity to the youth to play, which we are not able to give. India stands 29th place on the Global Sports Impact Index. Again, a dismal figure. A small little thing in the last line. I was born in the army. Yes. The morning PT, the evening sports is an underlined statement. How many of us do that? Yes, Anil sir would vouch for it. The men in uniform, I will say. Morning PT compulsory, whether it is the commanding officer of the unit, whether it is general officer commanding of the division, whether it is corps commander. They are there for the PT. Evening games, 1 troop game, 1 personal game, compulsory. You pass out of Indian Military Academy, ladies and gentlemen, you need to know at least 1 officer-like game. Tennis, squash and golf. You have to pass the test. Why? To remain fit. Why? To be with your people, to know your troops well. How will you fight with your troops if you don't know them? You play with them. Why do you play with them? You play with them to create a accord with them. It's a team bonding you do when you play with your troops. We need to think it out. What can we replicate a part of it in the university level? Can we replicate a part of it in the school level? How many of you did play with your faculties? How many of you did you play with your teachers while in school, while in college? Did they participate with you? Probably a thing to think about. Yes, unfortunately, I was educated also in the military college. So probably, yes, I have seen that. I am just leaving this as an open-ended question. We need to think. That's where the inspiration comes from, ladies and gentlemen. Going further, too many schemes. Mobile to sports scheme is a Gujarat government scheme which has come up. Yes, youth were all glued to the mobile. Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister of Gujarat last year released this scheme. Yes, it is interesting. More to be done. Fit India movement, Dr. Kar has already mentioned about it. Khelo India scheme, Khel Mahakumbh, Anil sir has already mentioned about it. Started way back somewhere in, I think, 2010 by then Honorable Chief Minister of Gujarat and now the Honorable Prime Minister. Yes, it is a huge success. I have been myself part of the organizing team and I know 42-43 crores of prize money being distributed, 35-37 sporting events part of it, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it requires a huge ecosystem to run through the thing. I'll mention a few schemes. I'm sure most of you are aware about it. I would like to lay some stress on it. We have a Shakti Doot scheme. Ankita Raina, who played the lawn tennis Olympics this time with Sania Mirza, is a part of the Shakti Doot scheme. She has been part of it for the past 5 years. We have something known as Center of Excellence. All these are Gujarat government schemes. We have something known as district level sports school. We have 2 of them in the town of Baroda. We have 36 of them in the state of Gujarat. We have Urmi school here, which is a DLSS school, and we have 1 in the rural. So every district has 1 city and one rural, rather the bigger districts. So one is in Mota Fofadia. Yes, it is a very successful model. Our intention of these models is to find them young. Get a student under 10 years of age who's either won a medal or is able to perform. The coaches go there, they identify talent and they select them. I'll just give you some brief about this Shakti Doot scheme, as old as about 2006. Approximately 3 categories of players being notified under this: Cat A, Cat B, and Cat C. Since 2016-17, the criteria did change. The Olympics being kept as a target, the players were selected. 40 sports persons from the state of Gujarat are being benefited at this juncture. Yes, highest being 25 lakhs per annum, being given for what? For training, for food, for travels, for coaching expenditure, for equipment as well. The next category is 15 and 5 lakhs is the third category. Yes, a sizable number of players are already identified. People are playing and training for 2024. People are already training and playing for 2028. How many of you know that we run an academy? We run multiple academies in Baroda. We used to be running PT Usha Academy. We used to be running Gagan Narang Academy for the shooting sport. We've been running Dhanraj Pillai Academy for hockey. We had been running Polela Gopichand Academy for badminton. I am not talking of any other town, ladies and gentlemen. I am mentioning about our town of Baroda. How many of you ever went and saw that? How many of you were even aware about it? Yes, there are issues. We need to be plugging them. I am mentioning I was fortunate to have been running these academies. I was very fortunate to have got them in here and running them successfully as well. Another of the schemes in a quick succession, Center of Excellence. Lots and lots of players are getting benefited with this. They are Khel Mahakumbh winners. They are winners of SGFI tournaments. They are also medal holders of national and international tournaments. They get into Center of Excellence. Center of Excellences have been established in the big towns in Ahmedabad, in Baroda, Bhavnagar, Junagadh for various sports. And yes, we have probably, if I'm not wrong, we have a home science student in badminton. I'm forgetting her name. Yes, she's part of the Center of Excellence, being benefited by this scheme. I at least know one. There are many. DLSS. Yes, this is hunting the talent pretty young, under 10. They are made to stay in a hostel. They are made to play as per their coaching, as per their game. They are given equipment free of cost. They're given food free of cost. And it is a beautiful, beautiful scheme. It runs out of Urmi School in Vadodara. It runs out of Mota Fofalia. There is a school there which runs it. Beautiful scheme. Amazing, amazing. What are you doing by these schemes? You are trying to create a bottom of the pyramid. Olympic medal, or as I mentioned, Olympic medal or probably a medal in Asiad is not the ultimate thing. Sports creates an ecosystem. Sports empowers the youth. Sports creates a mental psyche of a human being. And that is where there are initiatives. Probably it'll take time, by then these initiatives bear fruit. Yes, Khel Mahakumbh, as mentioned by Anil sir, started way back in 35 events, played in all the rural and urban areas of Gujarat. A lot of infrastructure is utilized from the schools. A lot of infrastructure is utilized from the municipalities. And yes, enough money is given by the state to the schools, to the infrastructure, to the government infrastructure, to the PPP infrastructure for maintenance, for hosting these events. And yes, MSU's performance, I should say, since I've been monitoring for a while, in the league matches, in the league, various leagues are held for various sports in the state, as well as Khel Mahakumbh has been par excellence. Approximately good prize money has been won every year by MSU, but there is always a lot which can be done further in the further perspective. If you see my screen, I am talking about certain benefits about the sports part. Yes, inculcates camaraderie, team spirit, compassion, empathy, teaches stress management. As I just showed you, the suicidal numbers are increasing. In our growing up years, ladies and gentlemen, as Anil sir said, we are flushed with lots and lots of information. In our growing up years, way back in 80s, we had no information. We were very happy. I remember playing as a young boy very regularly on MSU Pavilion. Every day I used to be there as a schoolboy. Yes, it helps. Sports helps. If it is practiced correctly, yes, it creates a positive mindset. It helps out to the youth in taking on spot decisions. It teaches you how to face defeat. It gives you a strength of self-discipline, gives you strength, stamina, gives you independence, gives you adaptability to new places, to new kind of culture, to new kind of co-players with you. It equips you to handle failure, as I just mentioned a while back. Going on, yes, what are the teaching tools? So what it teaches us is, yes, it ensures that we should ensure that this is compulsory at all levels of education, in primary, middle school, high school, as well as in the university education. Young children should ideally start playing by, they should start playing all sports possible. Please see to it that the coaches are there so that the child is able to pick up the correct methodology of playing a game. Create viable pathways to facilitate progress. It should become a fun rather than a compulsion. We also used to have the weekend games, one society against another, cricket, football, volleyball. Let that be there so that the monotony breaks in the youth, because a youth is staying under a lot of stress, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever there is infrastructure available, whether government, PPP, private, it should be an endeavor of all the stakeholders to give that infrastructure for correct utilization. Sports obviously should not be taken as a compulsory curriculum. It should be there to enrich the lives, to make a holistic human being. A few of the pointers on my screen, the challenges. Yes, there is a paucity of infrastructure with increased population. Even in the university, the number of admissions have gone up, and I was reading in the paper, it will further go up with the 12th standard results in this year. Are we having enough sports facility? Are we able to create sports as an ecosystem rather than just a medal winning thing or a cash winning thing? Probably we need to think it through. We need to collaborate with public and private. A lot of PSUs in Baroda all have their own sports infrastructure. Can we collaborate and have a complete ecosystem? Can we collaborate and have something for the youth? It also talks about, yes, as Dr. Kar mentioned, we have the Nehru Yuva Kendra, we have the DSO, we have the sports, we have a sports coach, which in Baroda, I'm talking about, each district has a senior coach. Now, all these people can also help out in pooling in the governmental infrastructure. They get enough funding for equipment. They get enough funding for creating arenas. Can we look at them for doing an effective job and helping us out as well? Certain suggestions, the last of the things, they are pretty much open-ended. It is just my own thought process. We need to have an increased research and development in the field of sports. It is lacking somewhere. Probably I feel so. I may be wrong completely. But yes, to have increased research and development in sports is one of the points I put across as one of the suggestions. Professional coaches could be involved permanently with the sporting teams at the university level to get probably good output, and also to create a wide mass of players. If you have 1,000 players, at least 10 will get medal. If you have 10,000 players, at least 100 will get medal, and those 10,000 would be good human beings for life. Sports as a curriculum, yes, probably yes. A thought into it. Equipments and apparels being used should be of international standard to give good exposure to the students. Partnership with sports technology and analytic companies probably will help. Yes, slowly these analytics organizations are coming into play. Money is always a problem. Can we have sports CSR? Can we incorporate? I am not talking big. I am talking about the PSUs and the big organizations, multinationals in Baroda. Can we get them on board? And can we have the CSR, sports CSR? Can we have the PPP model? Can we utilize the grounds? Can we utilize everything and have a PPP model? Yes, we have an MSU sports department, which is a central department, which helps or which gives equipments. Can we probably enlarge its scope to every faculty? Probably students from faculties are unable to come. Can we have a half, a volleyball court or a half basketball court? Can we have a billiards table? Likewise, in all the faculties, wherein students could just play. If you play, probably you become good and you get a wider base. Yes, sports is not just only for competition. It has other factors, the psychosocial factors for life. And probably just thinking loud, could we have a sports coordinator as one in a faculty, in each faculty? I'm sure there would be one. Since I do not know, I'm just thinking loud. A sports ecosystem could be created in the university, and a wider base or the bottom of the pyramid could be created to create a better youth and to empower the youth. And yes, thinking loud again, various degrees, diplomas, and you need a player. Behind the player, you need a coach. Behind the coach, you need a teacher, and you need behind that an administrator. So we could create these kind of people, because a coach is a coach, a teacher is a teacher. Teacher cannot be a coach, very little or less. And an administrator can neither be a coach nor a teacher. Administrator has to be an administrator. So you need an administrator, a coach, and then a teacher. Can we have all that? Probably yes, we have. Probably we need to re-look at it. And yes, the motivation is the biggest point, ladies and gentlemen. It is so nice to see Prime Minister personally calling up all the Olympians, congratulating personally. And I definitely foresee our head of institution, our guide, our mentor, Professor Parimal Vyas, for sure doing that for all our sportsmen. Sports is the youth empowerment. That's my take. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me a patient hearance. Jai Hind and Vande Mataram. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your powerful, confident diction and presentation has filled our entire audience with rejuvenating enthusiasm. In fact, I really felt very inspired by your views. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
And now, with this, we conclude the last part of webinar. For that, I would like to call upon Professor Sunita Nambiarji to deliver the vote of thanks.
Dehuti?
Yes, ma'am.
We have Professor Parimal Vyas sir coming in.
Oh,
for the presidential address, please.
I'm really very sorry. I would like to request Professor Parimal Vyas ji, the Vice-Chancellor of our university, to take over the program and put up his views on today's theme. Over to you, sir.
Good evening to all. I think it was a power-packed, webinar. We are together for almost now 160 minutes, and it was a treat to listen to Mayank. Mayank, we always take pride, that you are a part of the campus. I believe it is not just, the galaxy of experts that you brought in. And one can talk endlessly. We had youth icon Jigar Inamdar ji from our own university, the guiding force Kamal Karji, and we started it with the blessings of Dubey sir ji. It is difficult to get all these stalwarts, Anil Pratham ji. So I would just say that when I was listening to Mayank about sports as an instrument of youth empowerment, I think three things are very required. I think the challenge that we all face, 3 P's, Swami Vivekananda ji has taught us. One is the purity, second is the patience, and third is the perseverance. And let's remember that how can we empower youth? We need to make them, learn how to think and what to think. I am sure instead of leadership and governance, we organize thinkers meet. Now that's a very new concept. It has never happened in our university that thinkers meet takes place. Absolutely unguided. We have been trying. I'm very happy to place on record that we have spent around, I would not say spent, we have invested around 10 crores, in last 7 years in the sports infrastructure. With great pride, I say that Vadodara Municipal Seva Sadan, if they have 2 complex, Majalpur and Sama. Third complex now we have in the Maharaja Sayajirao Municipal Baroda. We have a wonderful what we call it as Union Pavilion. See the vision of Sir Sayajirao Gaikwad. I have been sharing these feelings with my students, my colleagues, that we still feel presence and blessings of Sir Sayajirao Gaikwad. There are more than 1100 universities, but you would not find Union Pavilion. You would not find that a participation of the students, 40,000 students, and they elect their general secretary and vice president, and that too because we talk about youth empowerment, and Rina can talk better than me, but look at the way we conduct the elections in a very democratic way, and the whole purpose is that we develop these university to bring out qualities of leadership in the youth. And it's a matter, as a special mention I would like to make that it's very interesting. In my tenure, both the positions, general secretary and vice president, both of them for 2 years continuously, they were won by female representatives. In fact, because when we talk about youth, I would just say that these webinars which are conducting, not to elaborate more on youth empowerment, but how can we integrate these, how can we operationalize these into our academic curriculum that we design. If Mayank has talked about sports, adventure and recreation, I think 3 areas on which we should focus very seriously. And I think if the youth would start responding, I believe it would be a turned around strategy. And Dr. Kamal Kumarji is here, Anil Pratham ji is here. I would say that cricket, we say, is a religion in this country, isn't it? And I understand that now football has started picking up. It gives such a pleasant feeling that okay, we lost in men hockey, but now our hopes are the female hockey team. I think it is rewritten, and I can feel the pain. When you look at 100 countries now getting at least 1 medal here and there. In the past, our performance was dismal. So it's a good beginning. I believe we have now started investing. In near future, we would start getting results. There are 3-4 areas which I think we should try to integrate in our university when we talk about the youth. Which are those areas apart from sports, adventure, recreation, and what are they? I would put 3 because I'm trying to relate it with my students. One of them is music. That's very important. We have faculty of fine arts, we have faculty of performing arts, and I'm not sure Rajesh ji here or not. We just started a diploma in vocal music, a small experiment. And I'll tell you, we don't have place. I said, oh, you should have second batch, third batch. This is one experiment with which I can say that yes, music. I believe because if Mayank was talking about stress, music is the answer. I think whenever we are offbeat, we are passing through a bad patch in our life, probably music is something which can really help us. Second is the movies. Yesterday, maybe for a couple of minutes, when I was just zip-zapping on a television, the Chichore movie, I don't know, I think all young students must watch that movie. There are so many movies which you can talk about, even the new ones, the recent ones. Because I'll tell you, the whole challenge for youth empowerment is how can we connect with the youth? That's very important challenge. And I believe music and movies, they can really make a difference. The third is, I think, can we start making smart use of media? We're all talking about, I'm not just talking about social medias. I'm not talking about social media, all kinds of medias that now we have an opportunity. I think, how can we make it interactive? How can we improve our response of feedback mechanism? I believe when I was a student, to get a name of the textbook or reference book, I'll tell you it was difficult for me to approach teacher. In the first lecture, I'll give syllabus, I'll dictate some textbooks here and there, and then you have to survive on that. Probably Mayank was talking about, have you played with the, whether you had an opportunity to play with the, your teachers. I think that may be true in school, but not in the college and university. We have wonderful Union Pavilion, I'll tell you, in the heart of the city, and 40,000 students, but we would not get few hundred students, taking advantage of these facilities. And I think what I believe is the challenge before us is we have to bring them. We have to bring them in the playground. And I think once they would come, then they would continue to come. I think that's what maybe some experiments which we have done in at least Faculty of Commerce, because Faculty of Commerce tops the list in terms of sports. If you talk about NCC, if you talk about it, it is Faculty of Commerce which has a very, very profound impact. So there, what I personally believe, maybe very few students, they know that we have a rifle shooting range in the faculty in the MS University of Baroda. Very few of them. It's rare to get this kind of facility. We have all kinds of facilities now. The gymnasium was not there. Now we have state-of-art gymnasium, and I think the whole idea is to make students, access these facilities. That is the whole idea. So the purpose of such webinar is, it gives us an opportunity to, retrospect, look at how can we bring. And one good thing which I can share, which I can vouch for all of you, is that now, because we have already implemented choice-based credit system, we are in fact now we are coming out with a basket of 2 credit courses of 30 hours under the National Education Policy. I think not just sports, yoga, music. I think all these opportunities students are going to get thanks to National Education Policy. Let me tell you again, it is this National Education Policy 1 year which you are celebrating. Again, it has given us an opportunity to look back and integrate the wholesome person, because the National Education Policy talks about, Dubey have very correctly put it. We have to. The challenge before us is to integrate our head, heart, hand, and entire body. That is what Sir wonderfully explained in the beginning. And I really do not know, based on my 37 years of experience while dealing with the youth, if somebody will ask me, do you have any bitter experiences? I think it is difficult for me to recollect. I do not know, but that's a very honest sharing. If you develop a level of tolerance, if you keep a positive attitude towards them, if you try to just listen to them, if you believe them, I think you would get love and affection which you would not get in any other profession. That is what there are several positive experiences which I can share. Probably Magan Bhai and Faculty of Social Work, Professor, they in fact they are closely connected with the students. Yesterday evening, I'll just share one small experience. Professor Magan Bhai, how as if his own son, one of our students now, he has now been appointed as director in Niti Aayog. Yesterday evening, he shared that message. What a wonderful feeling. As if Professor Parimal, when I read the message which he shared, I felt that, it is like a father felt feeling for somebody who has reached from Faculty of Management Studies to Niti Aayog. I think there is so much that we can give. And probably this National Education Policy, as I understand, we are all spending a lot of time. We are inviting so many experts who are so busy. On behalf of the university, I place on record, deep sense of gratitude to each one of you. This is wonderful. It is difficult to get each one of you, but then we are all here on a mission mode to see to it that we are all on what mission? We are all on a mission to create Naya Bharat. That is what is the dream of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi. I think he is the role model. Maybe we get a lot of inspirations by reading about him, by the kind of a lifestyle that is adopted. And I think there is so much to give. because we live in a country which believes in a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We are here to give and forgive, and we believe in grace rather than race. Now, I think that's very important. The developed countries, they talk about race, competition, and we talk about grace. Now, that G is blessings of God. That is why I say it is grace which is important in India. It is forgive which is important in India. Then give. I think today's webinar has generated a lot of positive energy, isn't it? Side by side, I keep on, because every day we have a webinar, you know, almost for 10 days. So I keep on doing my work, but then my complete engagement is with the webinar. There were some technical glitches, and I'm very happy. Kamal, Karji, thank you for motivating Pragati and my team of ILG. We are here. I'll tell you one sector where we need to do experimentation. If we all talk about innovation in a podium or on a screen like this, it's not going to give result. The real empowerment is this, that let them do it. There are mistakes, don't worry. There are failures, don't worry. There are people who would not accept you. They would criticize you. Be prepared. Develop the capacity, you know, to digest constructive and even negative criticism. But I think each event, each interaction, it always brings, you know, something new that we have to learn. And I think I do not know my personal experience before I close. The last that I would like to share, I have a very strong belief that such webinar and one sentence or one example of such eminent personalities I have experienced, I have received feedback, it has changed the lives of so many students. Sometimes somewhere while taking class, offbeat out of the class, if we tell them something and it has touched somebody, and then somebody will meet you after a couple of years back, sir, you told us this, and that changes the life. I think who knows, today's webinar, I'm sure, would act as a lead to so many young students who are with us. Thank you, Professor Anil Pratham and entire team of ILG, and all these you know, eminent speakers. I would just request that keep your blessings on the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda forever, because with the passage of time, we all will move out and some other group will come. But our love and connection and our affection with MSU, I'm very happy, Rajeshji, because I can see you now. It was amazing to see Guru Purnima program yesterday evening, which was hosted by Faculty of Performing Arts. Nobody ever thought on this earth that this is the wonderful way of celebrating Guru Purnima. What we need above all is social innovation. This country will be able to fight out if we are not so strong in technology. At times I say we have overemphasized technological innovations. We don't need technological innovations. What we need is, such a big country needs social innovations. If we can bring social innovations, I think then I believe India, not India, but Bharat would become Vishwa Guru. And I think today's webinar was in that direction, to see to it that, you know, we can make it big. Thank you, one. Thank you all. And namaskar to Dubey sir. Please accept our pranam, because you are a source of inspiration to the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. Over to you, Pragati.
Thank you so much, sir, for your such encouraging and kind words. I guess everybody who is connected or associated with the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda is glad and grateful to be working, learning, and growing under your surveillance. Thank you so much, Parimal sir. And now I would invite Professor Sunita Nambiarji, Professor and Associate Director of PG Diploma Human Resource Management with the Faculty of Social Work, Program Coordinator from NSS, to propose the vote of thanks of the event.
Ma'am,
Over to you,
you
ma'am.
have to unmute yourself, ma'am.
I, on behalf of the National Service Scheme and the IQSC, heartily thank the speakers of the webinars. Let me start up with our own Vice-Chancellor, Professor Parimal Vyas ji, who has motivated us to be a part of this enlightening sessions of 1 year of the national education policy. And every year, every day, we have been a part of the enlightening sessions of so many learned speakers. We heartily thank Professor R.S. Dubey, sir, Honorary Vice-Chancellor of the Central University of Gujarat, who brought out the objectives of the new education policy to make global citizens rooted very much in our Indian culture. We thank Shri Anil Pratham, sir, IPS, Director General of Police, Gujarat State National Commission, who brought out the key aspects of vocational skills, online learning, emotional well-being, and also encouraged sports in schools and colleges, and who also brought out that Khel Mahakumbh was being one of the best initiatives that was brought long before. Dr. Jigar Inamdar brought out the efforts done by the university and initiatives taken by various initiatives by the faculty, by the faculties and ILG in youth empowerment. Dr. Kamal Kumar, sir, we thank you for being a part of this webinar and addressing us with your keynote address, where you shared that there is a lot in store in the NEP in terms of Skill India, Digital India, and yet a lot of responsibility that needs to be given to the youth so that they are able to really bring out their best for the country. We also thank Colonel Mayank Mathur, who brought out through statistics the need to invest more in sports and to put in more efforts in sports, but also brought out initiatives that are there in the city of Vadodara and Gujarat in terms of being a model and the stress and emphasis that needs to be put in sports. Yes, Colonel Mathur, we are also at the faculty. I would tell that we have our own sports table tennis lawn, and which has come through the CSR initiatives of a public sector. And I think, yes, post-pandemic, when students come, and we have seen that students are enthusiastic when we have that facility, and we want this to be used more. So thank you for reminding, and we would definitely want to do more at our end for all the faculties. I also thank Professor M.N. Parmar, sir, who has been a mentor in the National Service Scheme, currently where he is the OSD Faculty of Management Studies, who brought out that through his initiatives, encourage youth in all the areas apart from the extension activities that he guides and mentors. I take this opportunity to heartily thank and acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Reena Bhatia and her team, who is so enthusiastic, the team of ILG, for bringing this wonderful confluence of speakers for this webinar. And as rightly said, yes, sir, Parimal, sir, you said that this webinar has also enabled us to bring many people which would have been difficult if they had to come all offline. But, this is one of the advantages that we have, that we are listening to this confluence of wonderful speakers and gaining from it. Only thing that we need to do is, let this inspiration remain, and let us work more in a more conceited efforts to make this university a truly global university. Thank you all for contributing for this webinar. Thank you. Jai Hind.
So much, Sunita ma'am, for delivering the vote of thanks of the event. I would now request our technical associate, Mr. Hem Vaidya, to please play the national anthem and wrap this event. I request everyone to please rise at your places. I believe if there is any technical glitch, then we all shall sing the national anthem. पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविण उच्चल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you each one, and hope to see you again physically here once again in the near future. Thank you. Have a happy and safe day. Thank you.